In 2008, I traveled with some friends to Ecuador for a hang gliding competition. I was excited to experience the dynamic free-flying sport I love in South America for the first time. During the first few days, there were press events to attend outside of the city. As we drove each day to the flying site, we passed densely populated slums on the outskirts of town. I remember the local pilots in the car were talking about the conditions and looking toward the sky, and all I could do was stare at each side of the highway lined with trash toward the slums beyond. People with blank, hardened looks were waiting at the muddy bus stops, breathing the visible exhaust from passing traffic. I noticed the children, the small ones with eyes not yet dimmed by life's situation. I began to feel the high-minded adventure I came down to Ecuador for paled in comparison to the most basic needs of much of the population. I've had the extreme privilege to experience the flying we do in our dreams all over the world, when many people's greatest privileges are affording enough food to eat or buying medication for a routine illness. During my stay, I was able to interact with many of the local children. They would inquisitively come over to us and talk in broken Spanish and English about our flying machines. They wore laceless shoes with holes and tattered clothing, but wide smiles. Their spirit hadn't been dimmed by their situation. I knew before my trip ended that if I came back to Ecuador, I was intent on giving back as well. Over the past year, I've met and cultivated relationships with some doing humanitarian work with missions and nonprofit organizations in Ecuador. Groups going into the slums with the most basic supplies, food, medicine, diapers, checking on the health of those in the community and helping those most in need. This fall, when I return to Ecuador, I will coordinate with these contacts to use funds raised from this effort to provide locals with the help they need. Provisions will be purchased and delivered directly to those living in the worst conditions. We will document our flying and travel adventure to raise awareness of the plight of these people and draw attention beyond our borders. Helping others on our trip will raise the collective consciousness, provide perspective for those living in privilege, and facilitate a more altruistic global mentality.